Have you ever had an idea that comes to your mind? You're not sure where it is, what it is, where it came from, but it makes sense to you? Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Sandy, and I'm here to tell you about those kinds of experiences and explain a theory that I think will be proven true about why that happens and how that happens. As I age, I realize my body's changing, and that's nothing new. But back in my early 20s, I came to a conclusion that later was borne out to be a scientific fact. I had a job, going to school, going to college, and working part-time, and I would skip breakfast, but about 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd go have my break and have a sweet roll, a bear claw, and coffee. And on those days, say that would be about 9:30, by 11 o'clock, I was famished, so hungry. I had to take an early lunch. But then I realized if I skipped that high-carb breakfast or snack, then I wasn't hungry at 11 o'clock for lunch. And so I put my mind to work, and I figured out that when you eat the sugar, your insulin dumps into your blood to lower the sugar level. But it doesn't just dump in exactly the amount that you need. It goes below that. So it causes hunger, and it's hypoglycemia. Too much insulin and low sugar, so you're shaky and hungry. Well, that made perfect sense to me, but it really wasn't a factor, a scientific idea that was popular at the time. And I'm not even sure if people who studied that or doctors at that time understood that that hunger could be caused from hypoglycemia, caused from insulin dump after a high-carb breakfast. Well, of course, today, that's a proven fact. Everybody knows that. But back in 1961, that wasn't a common factor. So that was my first thought that came to me, that information dump that later turned out to be true. So my second event along the same lines was when I was pregnant with my first son. I gained about 35 pounds. He weighed, I think, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. But I breastfed him. And as I breastfed, the weight just dropped off. In fact, I got below my pre-pregnancy weight. I could not keep enough calories. I couldn't intake enough calories to maintain my weight. So I figured that it was the breastfeeding, the fact of breastfeeding. So with my second son, I gained a little bit more weight than I did the first time. And I thought, but that's okay because the weight's going to just drop off, melt off, like it did in my first pregnancy. But as you can imagine, it didn't happen. And I thought, this is weird. Now, why would breastfeeding itself not be consistent? And it came to me, that information dump came to me that, oh, my body did not know how to breastfeed. It was learning something new. And the synapses in your brain, when you're learning something for the first time, have to really meander around to try to make that action happen from your thought to the action. But each time you do it, that little synapse between the neurons gets straighter and straighter till pretty soon it's straight. And this takes way more calories than this. And that's the concept of habit formation. When you learn something new, it takes more calories because it's a wiggly line and not a straight shoot or shot to the next neuron. So I figured that my body had learned how to breastfeed, and it wasn't a new experience anymore. So it was that straight shot to between the thought and the action. So it didn't take as many calories, which to me made perfect sense. And of course, that's been proven to be the fact. This was 1968 to 70 when I had this thought about habit formation and calorie consumption and adaptation of our brain and our bodies. So today, at this age, at the other end of the spectrum, I have put on weight, and I'm trying desperately to lose 20 pounds would be great. I'd feel really comfortable 20 pounds lighter. I'd feel better, look better, have more self-confidence, and all what goes with having an acceptable self-image. So what do? I go on a diet. I eat less. And yet, the consequence of eating less was not weight loss. Can you imagine what it was? It was fatigue. I was tired. I am tired all the time. I still haven't gotten past that. But I understand now the mechanism. I know what's going on in my body. I'm eating less. The less I eat, my body is so magical. It's so scientifically tuned that it uses fewer calories because it's adapting to my caloric intake. But what happens? What's the result of when you use fewer calories because you're eating fewer calories? Your body has to slow down to use those fewer calories that you're putting in. And the consequence of that is fatigue, feeling tired all the time. And when I started this new exciting diet that I'm on, low carbs, a few other things that I'll talk about later, my caloric intake was low. But the fatigue equaled, or the consequence of the fatigue by spending more time in bed, sleeping longer, napping, reduced my caloric needs to equal what I was taking in. So I did check a couple of different studies, and it's shown that that really is the case, and you have to fool your body. You can't just have it be a general reduction of calories. You have to spike it. You have to go up and down so that your body doesn't hold on to the fat because it thinks it's not going to get any more nutrients. So maybe 2 days go on your low carb diet and then have fat. So your body says, oh, okay, I'm going to get fat. I don't have to hold on to it anymore. And then you fool it. You go a couple more days on your low carb diet, and then you have to spike the fat up again so that your body doesn't get used to the fewer calories, because it'll adjust your energy to equal the calories that you're taking in. Our bodies are they're magical almost. They're such oiled, efficient machines, and it's fantastic. But that's the way we're made. That's how our DNA works, how our metabolism works. So now that this is a fact, we can't just lower our calories or even increase our exercise, because that'll just make us more tired and still hold on to the fat. But the other aspect that I figured out, this would have been about maybe 1980 to 90s, somewhere around there. I figured out that it doesn't really matter what you eat, it's how long you go between meals. Because you're going to use the calories, the sugar, the glucose that's in your blood until it's gone, and then it might be utilizing the fat calories that your body has stored, because that's what our bodies do. They store fat for when we have famine. So, and of course today, what's that called? Intermittent fasting. Expand the time between your last meal of the day before until your break fast of the next day. And if you extend that from 8 hours to 10 to 12 to 14, and I think 16 is kind of what people's goals are. I'm not sure for aging people that that's good. That might be too much. But I figured it out way back 50 years ago. And sure enough, intermittent fasting's all the rage now. So we've got all these factors. And so I've done some study and found out that what I said was absolutely true, that if you eat your last meal between 5 and 7, and you sleep 8 hours, and then you go, before you do anything, when you wake up, take advantage of that time when you have no more glucose in your blood, and your body might start breaking down the fat and using the fat as energy. So the one thing that's important when you first wake up, though, is that your body's dehydrated. You haven't probably taken in any fluids during the night. So the first thing, and your blood is thick and you don't want to have stroke or heart attack or anything else that might clots that might come from being dehydrated. So drink your water and then go for your walk before you eat breakfast. Because that walk is when your body is going to hopefully break down that fat and use it as energy. So what I found out studying it is that 20 to 30 minutes is the maximum, not maximum, but the optimal time to just a casual walk, not heavy aerobics, not weightlifting, not resistance training, none of that. Just simple, relaxed walk. So walk for 20 minutes, maybe start at 10 minutes, work up to 15 to 20. And then when you do break your fast, have it be protein. Because at that point in your in your metabolic state, that's what you need. Your brain needs it, your muscles need it. You don't want to break your muscles down because as we get older, again, we lose muscle mass. We all know that. So eat protein and still reduce your carbs. The ice cream and the donuts and the sweet rolls, we know that's going to spike our insulin, have insulin dump, and then it's going to make us irritable and tired and hungry. So be reasonable in terms of the diet that you have for the rest of the day. Now, those are my epiphanies that I've put together in my life. And again, I don't know if it's deductive reasoning or it's really an informational dump that has come to me to give me these insights, but they seem to be true. So I wish you the best of luck and have an absolutely phenomenal golden age that you're approaching. If you're 50 or 60 or 70 or over 80 like I am, I wish you the best. God bless. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.